Wow. Well,
Yes.
I am unbelievably not inspired by the decor in here.
I apologize for being a Debbie Downer this morning. I do.
Well, Sergeant Alexander, it is a reminder that you, in fact, will be leaving the community here, and we will certainly miss you and your family, not just for what you do here at AFN and what AFN continues to do to help us communicate to the community, but you're a fixture at the high school. All the work that you and your wife both do, volunteering for youth sports, you particularly for wrestling. So I know that we're going to miss you for more than just the music and the decor.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
So,
that.
so I thought I'd liven things up a little bit. So coming out of the hour with little Annie Lennox and the Eurythmics, had to keep it in the 80s. As we were talking about during the break, I was in Romania with my family over the holidays, visiting family, and we were watching a version of a music video show that was celebrating the 90s and the music. What an awful decade of music.
As you were saying, there wasn't much to celebrate music-wise in the 90s.
What an absolutely horrid decade of music.
It's pretty bad. It's
Yeah,
pretty bad.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and so what they were doing was walking through each year and showing the top 10 of each year of the 90s. And I was praying that at some point in time I would find some piece of music that I could personally relate to, I couldn't. And I think we went through about 6 or 7 years in the 90s. It was awful.
So skip that whole decade.
Yeah, we're skipping it. So we're
Sounds
staying
like a
with
plan.
the 80s. But speaking of music and helping us communicate to the community, before coming over here, I was reminded of a incredible service that has just come online, and that is AFN 360.
Yeah, it's a fantastic service, and it's nice to know that it's being utilized in the community.
Yeah, I was listening to it. Of course, I like to listen to y'all before I come over here to hear what kind of awful music you're playing.
Correct.
Although this morning was pretty darn good.
We tried.
We won't be talking about Justin Bieber in this hour, however. AFN is my third favorite website. I got to tell you, I got to put the Garrison and our DFMWR up front, right?
Of course.
But certainly dialing into wiesbaden.afneurope.net is a great way not only to get music but also information about what's going on around the area and Europe. And so how convenient. You go to wiesbaden.afneurope.net. You can click on the Wiesbaden streaming icon, and within seconds, you're listening to the Shack. You're listening to the music, listening to the news, and you can do it from wherever you are at, and it is fantastic.
It is nice. We've got 3 shows now. Our morning show, as you said, the Shack is on, and then Jessica comes on through the midday show, and then usually it's Sergeant Shiloff who's sitting in with us today, but right now it's Gundacker in the afternoon. So, yeah, you got 12 hours of entertainment.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. So we got a lot to talk about today. I think you all have some questions about some things that are going on in the community.
I do specifically. We'll get to that one here in a minute. This was a song that you were quick to signal out as your second song of the morning.
Yeah, we're going to do that. And a reminder before we clip to the music, though, is, of course, people can chime in on Facebook if they have a question, but who do they call if they want to talk to us live?
They can call at 0611-705-5103. Remember, call during the song. It's easier to get that question asked and answered because I will probably ignore the phone call right now.
Yeah.
Once the music
call
starts, it's all
during the
good.
music because we're just jamming out anyways. So yeah, we're going to keep it in the 80s for this hour, and boy, you can't say the 80s without talking a little bit about the Talking Heads. So one of my favorite, Burning Down the House.
Go with us. We've been talking about how horrible the 90s were for music. We also talked about the AFN 360 app. Sir, like always, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Sergeant Alexander. Sergeant Shiloff, good to see you here. Glad we woke you up in the morning and are expanding your gig. A little sleepy-eyed today, but glad you've joined the morning show.
That's just a Friday thing, sir. That's a consequence of Friday.
Indeed.
So, since I'm in the Air Force and I'm leaving, I feel that I can ask this question. A lot of people have been having some gripes about the post office and the lack of delivering of mail or construction. It seems that everywhere I go, that's the number one complaint people have is the post office lately.
Yeah, and I'm hearing the same thing, and of course, we won't take this out on you there, Sergeant Alexander.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely
Don't
not.
shoot the messenger.
No, and AFN's business is helping to communicate the real deal to the community. So I'm going to help set the record straight. So yeah, we've got a perfect storm of issues, literally and figuratively, going on down at the post office, and it started months ago when, in terms of transformation, we had to launch into a major renovation project to expand the community mailroom by 2,000 boxes. And so that, luckily, that construction project is in the final throes. We are in phase 2. Many people that have been there lately will notice that the finance area where you go buy your stamps, where you drop off the packages, that the package pickup area is now consolidated and looking sharp. I was just in the CMR the day before yesterday and was looking at the current construction phase that will bring the boxes up from the basement. And that phase will be done by about March, April timeframe. So think about it, completely consolidated once again CMR with the expanded boxes here by March, April timeframe. But that's really not what's causing the delay. I mean, that adds to it. What's causing the delay is a perfect storm of issues ranging from the weather. And so people, you don't have to go any farther than CNN or your favorite news channel to know what's going on in the States with the weather. A movement of our hubs coming to Europe. So all of our mail to Europe used to come out of the New York, New Jersey area.
Right.
And now it's coming out of Chicago. And that switchover has just taken place. And by the way, where's the weather slamming into right now?
Yeah, exactly. Chicago and that whole area got hit with some pretty heavy snow.
The Midwest, right? And so not only do we have a new hub and new procedures, but that hub's getting slammed with weather. And you combine with that the holiday rush that usually, adds a strain on the system. And it's literally a perfect storm of mail challenges that we have right now. So I talked to a group of spouses the other day who were telling me about packages, Christmas packages that haven't arrived yet, things that they ordered that 4 or 5 weeks behind the times, and that is why.
It is kind of a bummer. Nothing against the post office, but it's just been a bad luck of weather that the East Coast got hit with that big storm. That's where the thing was, the hub was. Then they transitioned it to Chicago, and then Chicago gets dumped on with all sorts of snow. And the post office is doing things to help facilitate packages getting out. I know they've just increased the hours on Saturday and things like that as well.
Yeah, so, part of what was adding to this is that when we got out of the holidays, the community, were slow getting in there and kind of picking up our mail. And so that caused even more of a backlog in the storage area. But we've gotten through that. Again, I was in there day before yesterday, and we are about at our normal load in the storage area. So my thanks to units and organizations and individuals that have gotten in there and have gone through the lines to pick up their mail. And so that has really helped out. But we are going to stay on it. And so Installation Management Command Europe-wide, because this isn't a Wiesbaden issue, this is a Europe issue. But Installation Management Command Europe has graciously approved the extension of our holiday temporary employees through the March timeframe. And so we are taking those temporary employees that we usually bring on for the holiday rush, and we have expanded our hours. So if you haven't heard of what's come on the AFN, if you haven't seen the messages I put out to units and organizations, package pickup daily is going to be expanded 30 minutes, so to 1830, vice 1800, and we're doing Saturday package pickup as well, and we are doing that 1100 to 1400 starting this Saturday, and we're going to run it through March, again to alleviate what we anticipate will be yet another big mail slam based on, when they turn the flights on coming out of Chicago. We're going to get hit with a couple flights. It's going to back us up again. There's going to be some lines. There's going to be, you're going to get hit with, 3-4 package reminders to come pick up. And we're going to give you the opportunity to do it on Saturdays, 1100 to 1400, starting this Saturday.
And that's the thing. I kind of gave the post office a hard time there, but I got to give the community a hard time as well. Me personally, when I'm expecting a package, I check the mail every single day. And if the yellow slip shows up, I'm grabbing that and going and picking it up. I never understood why people would grab that and say, oh, I'm going to go get it later. And then you got 4 or 5 kind of piled up. It doesn't take much to get through the line. I know during the holiday season, I stood in line, I think, the max of 15 minutes. Okay, so I only have 45 minutes for lunch now, but you can make things work.
You can, and we do have some I call them the mail delay recidivists out there, my repeat offenders. I have seen, when I did my latest walkthrough of the CMR, I saw snow tires that people had ordered for this year still sitting in there waiting to be picked up. And a snow tire is no small object. I mean, that takes up some serious space in the mailroom. So, stay on it, please, in terms of picking up your mail and packages. But again, I think we have been through the worst, particularly with the expanded hours now on track.
Well, sir, we're going to continue talking about two of our favorite things, obviously parking and obviously construction. That's coming up in a minute. If you have a question for the Commander, facebook.com/AFN Wiesbaden or 0611-705-5103. This next song, sir, I know you're a huge fan.
Y'all got a lot on your mind this morning. I appreciate you poking me in the eye about the Postal Service, and glad we could talk about that. And really, the point is the expanded hours that we're going to, if you weren't listening before the music. And so not only 30-minute expansion of pickup hours daily to 18:30, but also going to Saturday hours starting this Saturday, 1100 to 1400. Excited about that, at least until March. And then what we will do is we're going to go back to commanders and organizational leaders in the community and see if they don't want to keep Saturday hours. Of course, we don't have unlimited funds and resources to do this. So if we want Saturday hours, we may need to think about another day that we want to close. But we're willing to relook at it again now that we have expanded with the arrival of Headquarters U.S. Army Europe. So thanks for helping me get that out, but I think you all got some more on your mind.
Yeah, speaking of expanding, I know Sergeant Shiloh had a question here that he would like to ask you.
Yes, sir. Going in off of post here, especially when we go over by the South Gate and our neighbors there at the farm, noticing some construction out there. We got that new fence looks like it's being put up. What is that about?
Yeah, so the new fence going up is really the harbinger for what will become the new access control point coming into Clay Caserne, and it is a major project, one of the cornerstones of transformation here that sadly is several years behind in terms of getting this project out of the blocks, to no fault of any of our wonderful planners here, but it just came down to a money issue, and so now that the transformation is fully underway, and we certainly have Headquarters U.S. Army Europe here. We've expanded in size. Now we're going to go ahead and build the access control point. So, I'm fond of saying, like some of the projects we do, it's akin to changing the oil in your car as you're barreling down the Autobahn at 200 kilometers per hour. So, some will remember when we had the construction or destruction, as it's been referred to, on the B455, but we got through that. And we will get through this as well. Of course, we're much better off right now for the off-ramps and all those improvements that were made by the city, by the garrison, going onto the B455. But what we got to do is we have to take care of these three really stovepipe entryways that we have now. So, we've got a tiny one with the truck gate to the north. We got the main gate, which is even smaller, and then, of course, the south gate. And what happens is we have three bottlenecks every time that we have a major event, or every time people come in the morning. So we have to go to a system that is much like the Fort Braggs, the Fort Hoods, the Fort Blisses, any of the other major installations out there, where you have a major gate that has multiple entryways, multiple guards spanning across those. And then when you hit that gate, getting past that gate allows you free flow in and around the garrison. So that's what's going on with the fence line out there.
And this will kind of, not to get too into the weeds, but from what you're saying with that free flow, it's obviously going to help move traffic onto post a little faster, and that gets us to that outer loop where we're going to be able to start parking with the garages and easier access to those, then I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So think of any major city that you've been to. Most of them have a ring highway that goes around them, and that is what we are doing. And so a year from now, the truck gate, the main gate, and the south gate will cease to exist. all the fixtures that are there, the guard posts, the gates, the barriers, gone. So those will be free access ways. The gate is going to be just forward on the Clay Caserne side of where the stoplight is. It'll take you to the domain, down to the south gate. So that is where the ACP, the access control point, is being built. And once you get through there, you're going to have some options. You can either go left or right. You can either go, left where currently the truck gate is to take you towards the airfield and that northern portion of the ring road, or you can go right, which takes you to the south portion of the ring road and towards the parking garages, not only the current 1,100 space deck, but the 600 space deck that's going to be finished in the June-July time frame. And so that is the plan. That is what's going on. But again, going back to my analogy, that there's going to be some pain involved anytime you change the oil on your car while it's moving. We're going to have some pain here, and that pain's going to start about the March time frame. So that main road that heads towards the main gate and traffic circle is going to be shut down for traffic starting at about the March time period. And all traffic is going to be diverted down that southern road that heads towards the domain. Now, we're going to get some great graphics of this up on AFN, up on the website. Not all traffic will be going through the south gate. Again, not all traffic will be going through the south gate. Once you make that right turn, you will be able to divert to the north to use the truck gate, to use the main gate. But we're going to have to get everybody down that soda straw of that southern road so we can free up the main road, Luftbrückestraße, for major construction that is going to build that ACP, and that's going to be about a 9-month project.
So expect some longer wait times getting to post starting around the March timeframe, basically.
Well, yeah, and so indeed, and we're going to work with units to look at the possibilities of staggering some of the arrivals. Quite frankly, most of the units are staggered now, anyways, between the 66 that brings their soldiers in at different times to get on the Dagger bus. Headquarters, U.S. Army Europe, other tenant units. We kind of already have staggered arrivals. We're not too worried about the arrival times. We're worried about departure times. And we're working on some plans to free up other accesses for departure. That's what we're concerned about right now. So details to follow, but that's what's going on with that fence. And it's initially a construction fence to keep everybody out. But Clay Caserne, that land that is there, that fence is now covering, is land that now belongs to Clay Caserne. And so, yes, the footprint of the Caserne is expanded, will encompass that ACP, because the plan is once you come through there, you're on the garrison. And again, you can go around the ring road to the north or to the south.
Again, talking with Colonel Carstens, our garrison commander here in Wiesbaden. Got a question for him, facebook.com/AFN Wiesbaden, or you can always call us at 0611-705-5103. Sir, this next one comes straight from 1980, the start of... I'm Air Force Staff Sergeant Tyler Alexander. Sitting across from me is Army Sergeant Boris Shilov, and sitting next to me is the Garrison Commander, Colonel Carstens. Sir, like always, thanks for coming in for your segment.
And thanks for poking me in the eye about a variety of subjects, ranging from mail to construction at the front gate. No, just kidding. Hard questions that certainly need to be answered. And speaking about answering questions, boy, have we got some opportunities coming up. So a lot of people are listening in right now saying, I may have a question, don't really want to ask it on the air, don't want to ask it via Facebook, or maybe you're driving in, so you can't ask it, period. But there may be some out there, and so you have got some amazing opportunities coming up. So starting on the 28th of January, next Tuesday, we have got a cornucopia of question and answer sessions prepared. One of them is something we do every month. It is the Community Information Briefing, and that is going to be at the CAC here on Clay Caserne, the Community Activity Center, adjacent to the Little Italy. And that is, usually we get a lot of commanders and organizational leaders in there, but that's for the entire community, and we reserve the large ballroom at the CAC to do it. And so that kicks off at 09:30 and usually goes for about 90 minutes. That is more of a presentation than it is a question and answer session, because what we try to do is put out all the information about what's going on from transformation to all the great things that DFMWR has to offer. The schools get up and talk about things that they've got on their plate. The health clinic, the dental clinic, AFES, DECA, I mean, they all get up and they talk about some of the new programs that they're unveiling. And then if you have questions answered, of course, there's a little bit of time at the end, but you can always talk to the garrison directors or some of these organizational leaders afterwards. So isn't that great? We do that once a month. But even if you don't want to come in, you can sit home, fuzzy slippers and jammies, and you can do it over the internet.
Oh, really? Very nice.
So you can live stream the community information brief into your living room, and you can ask questions via Facebook, which I get as I'm sitting there, and will answer them live streaming over the web. So there's choice number one. But choice number two is a little more free flow. So as we were preparing for the move of headquarters U.S. Army Europe, we did a series of town halls. And guess what? U.S. Army Europe's here. And so there's a lot of new people in the community that probably have some questions, concerns, and we're going to do an old-fashioned town hall on the 28th as well. Now, community information briefing is during business hours. A lot of people can't just break out of their job and go to the CIB. So guess what? We're doing this one at night. The town hall is going to be Tuesday, the 28th of January, 18:30 to 20:30 at the Taunus Theater. And that's going to be less formal in terms of presentations, but we're going to have more free-flow discussion. So I'm going to be there, obviously. We're going to line up garrison directors and some of the other organizational leaders in the community, and we're going to talk about what you want to talk about. Now, I'm going to lay some things out, talk a little bit about transformation, address the post office earlier this hour, the access control point that's going up. Sergeant Shiloff, you got another question about a major construction project going on. We'll answer that in a second. But we're going to touch on transformation, some of the big projects going on, how those are going to impact the community, and then we're going to turn it over to people in the audience, and we'll go anywhere you want to go. And certainly if we don't have the answer, we'll get the answer, and we'll have the experts on hand to do that. And so Community Town Hall, 28 January, 18:30, 20:30 at the Taunus Theater. Thanks to our partners at AFES for letting us borrow that great facility, and that's what's going on with that.
So really two opportunities to get all the information and then ask the experts. If you don't get to that morning, you can just come into the Taunus Theater.
You got it.
Maybe in your jammies and fuzzy slippers if you really wanted to, but I would dress up just a little bit.
If you wanted to. But of course, you don't have to wait to those events to ask questions. There is a plethora of ways to get questions answered in the community. My favorite website, www.wiesbaden.army.mil, gives you access to a variety of portals, not only Facebook, and our public affairs office does a great job of maintaining that site and answering questions. Also ICE, the interactive customer evaluation. And we maintain a near perfect rate, 99% rate of getting people's questions answered on ICE within 72 hours. So you ask an ICE question, you're going to get a response. There's also the commander's hotline. And so ICE you can do anonymously if you don't want to identify yourself. But ICE, commander's hotline, CIB, town hall, all on Tuesday. All sorts of ways to get your questions answered.
You can also get your question answered right now at 0611-705-5103 or facebook.com/AFN Wiesbaden. Get there, leave a question for the commander. We've got about 10 minutes or so until we wrap up this hour of the show. Sir, let's jump back into it. I'm Air Force Staff Sergeant Tyler Alexander. Across from me is Army Sergeant Boris Shiloff. And next to me is the big man in charge, Colonel Carstens, the garrison commander. Like always, sir, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely not the big man in charge, but I appreciate that call out, and great to be here. Great to answer questions. We just had a great caller call in about clothing sales store, and if there were plans from a transformation perspective to expand clothing sales store, and I appreciate that call. So the short-term answer on that is no. We are working with our great partners at the exchange, AFES, to look at an expansion of services that includes moving into that warehouse space that's behind the dining facility here on Clay Caserne, the Strong Teams Cafe, and But right now, I got to tell you, every dime that the exchange has, that AFES has invested in the community, is going into the new exchange in Heidelberg right now. So, truly asking them to do something else while they are fully engaged in that huge project in Heidelberg is probably not going to happen. So, what we got is what we got for the near future at Clothing Sales. But appreciate that caller calling in.
And again, if you do have questions, facebook.com/AFN Wiesbaden, or you can do just like that caller did at 0611-705-5103. That is the number. And Colonel Carstens, you're actually going to stick around for a few more minutes?
Yeah, I'm having so much fun, and your music Rolodex is just so fantastic as it relates to the 80s music that I'm going to stick around after the hour.
We do appreciate 80s music here on the Shack. I'm
Indeed,
not gonna lie.
Indeed you do.
We are big fans of that.
Sergeant Schraub, I think you had, speaking of kind of the transformation and some of the things we have going on, you had a question we were talking about.
Yes, sir. We talked a little bit about the main ACP and everything being built out there out front, but the main road coming into the gate there and in front of the Keys building, we all know that has been blocked off and traffic is diverted. What's going on there?
Yeah, so, even more construction going on in that area. And so if you've been on Clay Casern lately, you know that you can no longer head down the main boulevard from the main gate and take that left-right in front of the Keys building, building 1042, and that is because what we were doing is we were building a bit of a half-moon-shaped road in front of the Keys building that offers a little more standoff from the Keys building. And so, right now, with that road in such close proximity to the Keys building, I mean, literally, if a driver lost control of his vehicle, he would wind up in somebody's office in the Keys building. And so what we're doing is we're building a 25-meter out half-shaped moon around the Keys building, and that'll provide just a little more standoff from that building. But what it will also do is give us an opportunity to put the garrison's flagpoles in that area. So, we've got all kinds of flagpoles in the concern. We've got a couple over by 5th Signal Command. We've got a couple at the garrison headquarters. But what we need is a concern central place where we can honor the colors, and that is where the central building needs to be, and that central building is the Keys building, and that is where those flagpoles will go. So once we get that half-moon shape road construction piece completed, the flagpoles will go there, and that is where we will honor the colors 24 hours a day here at Clay Casern.
Again, that is Colonel Carstens, the garrison commander. He's going to stick around for a few more minutes. We're going to get back into a song right now and head off to the news.
Hey, usually I'm only here for an hour, but I was having a great time, as I always do, here at the Shack. But really, I had one other thing that I wanted to kind of chat with you about before I head out of the studio, and that was some of the parking that's going on right now. But what I want to talk about is the new parking deck. So 1,100 space deck currently operational, another 600 space deck going up next to that, and it looks like we're going to have that second parking deck completed around the June or July timeframe.
So that'll give us 1,700 spots then total?
Yeah,
Very nice.
on this side of Post. And by the way, in very short order, we're going to begin construction of a parking deck on the 5th Signal Command side of the garrison. Right next to our Memorial Park in that former motor pool that's right there. And so that's going to be a 300-space deck. So, as we said from the beginning, we don't have any parking issues here on the Casern. We've got some walking problems. We got plenty of parking, even with the 1,100-space deck. The new 600-space deck is actually going up to support the completion of the Consolidated Intel Center. And so that's why those new spaces are going in. But once we have that 600 space deck in, we are reviewing plans early this spring to unveil a real increase in short-term parking spaces. The challenge that we have right now is that even with the number of spaces that we currently have, in any given day, you can drive by that 1,100 space deck and you'll find half of it empty. People just want to park closer to work. So when you are near the post office, as an example, when you are near 1023, the Welcome Center, or even the Fitness Center, our daytime workers are parking in those spots that should be reserved for people that are using those facilities. So I've already approved a plan to literally double the number of short-term spots around the Welcome Center, 1023, around the post office, and around the fitness center. Double them. And we're going to aggressively maintain that, especially since we'll have an additional 600 spaces over at this new parking deck. So we're going to unveil this again in the early spring. I know it seems like spring out there now, but more short-term parking spaces are coming. And just a reminder that as we get out there and we our Director of Emergency Services is involved in enforcing policy letter, Command Policy Letter number 16, which talks about the 3 strikes you're out policy related to parking. You get 3 parking tickets, and you can face the possibility of having your license suspended for 30 days. And we literally have hundreds of 2-time offenders right now who've been warned in writing, and we have dozens of 3-time offenders that have lost or are about to lose their driving privileges for 30 days. So please do the right thing. If nothing else, that extra 100-meter walk is going to do nothing but keep you healthy throughout the rest of 2014. What a great New Year's resolution. Walk those additional steps that get you on the path to a healthier life. And by the way, if you're coming from the Washington, D.C. metro area, the walk from the parking garage to any place on Clay Caserne is a lot better than a park from one of the parking areas in the Pentagon to the office there. So our situation's better than many. But please help us out.
Not to out myself, but the only time that it's a bummer to park in the parking garage is after you've just got finished doing a hard workout at the gym. I have a hard time walking those 100 meters. I'm like dragging my feet behind me at that point. That's the only time it really becomes a bummer.
Consider it a cool down.
Right?
Courtesy of U.S. Army Garrison Wiesbaden.
Well, sir, like always, thank you for coming in. We'll have you back in a couple weeks. We do it every other week here on The Shack. And any final thoughts before we get into the way we close out most shows?
No, no final thoughts other than, again, thanks to AFN for what you do to help us communicate to the community. I started off the show talking about AFN 360. I'll close it with that. What a great way to listen to the live broadcast, the news, maybe sometimes even the music going on is go to one of my favorite websites, wiesbaden.afneurope.net. You can click on the 360 icon and listen to you guys stream live. I won't assume people are listening to me live streaming, but certainly to you guys, they'll be listening to you. So thanks for that. And you know what? We're going to close out certainly with the boss, as we do most of these shows.
Yes, we
Since
do.
we were talking about parking, since we're talking about access control points, we got to stick with the car theme. So this